Okay, this time we want to change around the agenda a little bit due to some time constraints with some of the people presenting. So we want to move up the construction manager's report to now. Is there any issues with us doing that? All right, Joe, you want to come on up?
The board packet was updated this afternoon, but I also had Mary Ann present you hard copies of what was updated. There's three documents. There's a 2-week look ahead, which is what you receive anyways in the Friday updates, but this is the one from this morning's construction meeting. The yellow, red, and green document is just more or less, that's our cap log, which documents the additional allowances, either approved, denied, or pending. And then the RFP is just a request for pricing on things that relate to the cap. Is that correct, Joel?
Yes. Do we want to go through these logs first, or kind of just an update?
I would give a general update.
Okay. All right, we'll take area by area. We'll start with the field. So as you can see, we've started and completed most of the top layer of stone throughout the field. The last remaining area, as far as the Vulcan 210 placement, will be the South D area, which we'll fill that in next week as we do our fine grading. As we work from north to south, we'll have some excess stone that we'll use up in the South D area. So that's going well. Field goal posts are installed.
Mary, you could click to the picture of the field. That would be helpful. That's the vault. So all the CA7, which is the larger rock, has all been installed, and what Joel's referring to, the Vulcan 210, is just a 2-inch layer that goes on the top to help with compaction prior to turf installation.
And that'll continue all the way south. So we're looking to be complete with fine grading, which is in preparation of the turf install by the end of next week, weather permitting. So we're in good shape with that.
How do you do the pitching, again, so we understand? I mean, when you get to the top layer now, it's very important that you pitch it properly.
So there's a specialized company coming in that will achieve the design grades.
For both the field and the track?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything. Yep. Make sure there's the right crown grades. They string line it, laser it.
Okay.
And then ultimately AstroTurf, our turf manufacturer, will come in and inspect and approve. So they will not put any turf down until they approve it.
Thank you.
And
And then
what's-
Oz Engineering is obviously watching this process during placement as well.
So once the pitch is done, so they'll make the rock and pitch it the right way, then what goes on the rock then? So
Then the turf comes in, and usually they start from the middle and work their way out towards the end zones.
okay.
So right now, our projected turf start date is the 31st. We're trying to up that a little bit. If all goes well, we should be ready for them about a week early.
Okay.
The weather of July has helped.
Yes, as you can see. So
Not my lawn. Okay.
Next, Mary Ann, what's the next picture on there? So then, Joel, the visiting bleachers?
visiting bleachers are 90% complete. Home bleachers have begun. Right now, we're slated to be complete with all bleachers and the press box by the middle of next month. And then on the turf side, it'll be
Tim and-
third week of September
Tim
somewhere.
and Gary, you weren't there, but what's good about these bleachers here, it's enclosed. So nobody can slip through, or, you know what I mean? You're not gonna have any issues with that.
Yep.
It's got the whole ADA compliant and everything now, right, Joe?
Correct,
Yes.
handrails, aisles, and ramps. The ramps haven't been installed yet because we still have to pour the concrete walks in front of them and some of the pads on the side of them. So those will be installed.
So
Nice.
that's a non-aisle bleacher?
No, there are aisles and handrails.
The seats aren't installed yet.
There's no seats
Oh,
installed
okay.
yet.
We'll start setting fence posts for the inner 4-foot fence on the outside of the track. So we'll have to get those installed, and then we have another outside curb, obviously, that has to go in, and then pavement goes in between the two curbs. So that's coming up within the next couple of weeks.
Next slide, Mayor. So this is our building. Our building is complete externally, correct, Joel?
Yep, we're far enough along where obviously the bleachers are being installed over the top of the building, so access will be limited as the bleachers get erected, so we're in good shape. Roofing is 90% complete, somewhere in there.
So it's gonna take over a month to put in the bleachers?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
And we have a roof inspection set with our architect, hopefully for the end of this week, to inspect the section of roof that's going to be underneath the bleachers.
Yeah. our main focus now as far as the building, besides continuing with the mechanical, electrical, plumbing work, is to basically get it enclosed. So we have overhead doors coming the end of this week, and then the rest of the doors and frames, the FRP doors and the aluminum frames are going to start filtering in. So within the next 2 weeks, we'll be secure and enclosed. Lockers are going to come in next week. So things are progressing nicely.
So they won't be able to use the locker room until the fields open up, right?
Correct.
We started to pour I think they started to frame today the concrete benches that the
Yep.
lockers are going to sit on, and then the
Yes.
students will have an additional bench to sit on.
Mhm.
Concession stand roof is complete, concession stand's been roughed in. Trying to think if there's anything else.
Once the bleachers are done on the back side, we have those steel columns to enclose with masonry. We have to wait till the bleachers are installed and approved before we enclose the steel.
Okay.
Mary Ann, I think there was one more picture of the building before you go back to the trap.
No.
You scroll, is that? All right, so if you go all the way back to the first slide, this is the original hole. You can see the little guy in the back. That's not a little guy. I think that's somebody that's over 6 feet tall. It's Joel. But you could just get an idea how deep that hole is and how big that hole is. Then the next slide, slide 2, this was then, we did not encompass any bedrock. The bedrock that we did encompass, the machine that Joel had with his excavator was able to break through everything. So we had no bedrock issues in the vault. And that's the stone base. And then, just to give you an idea just how big this stormwater detention vault is, you got a 8-wheel crane or 16-wheel crane, and then you got an 18-wheeler. You see that he's pulling the pieces of cement off of, just how much room there really is inside that vault.
Joel, do you know how many cubic feet it stores or gallons? Do you even know?
I don't know if that
Okay, okay.
And as before this construction, there was nothing like this on the property.
It's just a
Right.
grass field.
Yeah, the timing of this worked out well. We started backfilling the trap, which will allow access for the bleacher installer as well to come around the corner of the building, so.
Mary Ann, can you show the next couple slides? It just shows.
Is the pumping system in already, Joe?
Not yet, that's gonna be next
At the
week, we're
end.
gonna start working on it, so, as you can see, the trap's been installed. The village engineer came out, inspected it, MWRD has seen it. They approved us for backfilling. So we backfilled, at least the stone section of it, to make sure that the excavation is safe around the perimeter. So we're gonna come back and start doing our tie-in work, and then everything gets topped with dirt.
Is there any weight constraints, like in a truck you could drive over that vault or anything that we need to know about?
Oh, during backfill, yes.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, once you finish,
Yeah, there will be, yes.
and now we'll
And
know where
there,
they are.
we'll get that criteria from Storm Trap Direct,
Okay.
so. I'm sure that they'll use a skidster or some sort of Bobcat type machine to do the spreading and the backfill. But there won't be any heavy equipment or loaded trucks or anything of that nature.
I think more of the question.
I mean,
is
later
if our
on,
pick-
like-
If our maintenance pickup truck drove on it, that should be,
Depending on the size, I'll find out what the parameters are.
Right.
But there definitely are, there is some criteria. I mean, traps do go under parking lots, but
Yeah, we
obviously
have-
they're backfilled with aggregate and stone and designed a different way.
Okay.
So
That's
this
what I
is in a
wanted.
green area, so we just need to make sure what that threshold is.
Okay.
Once we're done backfilling it, we'll flag it. We'll flag the perimeter of it just to make sure nobody accidentally goes over there.
Okay.
And if we go with the original design, the tennis courts will be over part of it, right?
Yes.
And the weight of the concrete won't be a problem there then?
Yeah, they shouldn't. I mean, in other underground systems like plastic or corrugated metal, obviously those thresholds are much lower than their
Sure.
pieces. But I'm sure every underground system has some sort of threshold
Sure.
that people need to know about.
Okay.
why don't you just quickly review the, I think an important question. I know one of the board members had asked this earlier. Schedule?
Oh, we've made up some time. The 2 month of a major unforeseen condition didn't help matters, but this recent nice weather has kind of got us back on track. So I'm still optimistic that we'll be in good shape come the October 2nd
Homecoming.
homecoming. Yeah.
October 2nd homecoming game is the So the Board of Education is aware and the community is aware that would be the formal grand opening of the Kennelly Athletic Complex and we have members of the Kennelly family flying in for the dedication.
So landscaping will still be forthcoming, track surfacing, things of that nature, but just to get it to a point where we're at now is,
We can have the art class
We're happy with.
draw some stuff. Kristen, have the art class draw bushes or something like that.
Cap log, that's the red and green, red, yellow, and green document if you're looking online or if you want to look at the hard copy in front of you.
well, what do we want to go through? There's a lot here.
Well, I think the important thing so the board can see, I just have Joel keeping a running total on this sheet as well as another sheet, but this is some good summary. Total approved so far is $281,000. That was out of that roughly $700,000 allowance. Now, out of that 281, roughly 214 or 200,000 of that was the unforeseen condition of the stones, the panel drain, the new tarp. And something that's not listed on here is roughly the 87,000 credit we received for that stone. So if you take off the changes with the field, we're roughly about $80,000 to $100,000 in change allowance. So around 10%, a little over 10% of changes. And that was including, we did end up putting the water box underneath the track so that we have water on the field and we don't have to run hoses under the track. We piped in empty conduit under the track so that in the event we have graduation or ceremonies on the field, we can run extension cords or data cords under the track without having to run anything over the track. It's a tripping hazard. So all that excavation and boxes have been completed. The only thing we're still waiting on are some numbers with 28 and 29. On page 2, in regards to giving a facelift to the old garage, just we have some wood and plywood doors and some things that need to be changed up and cleaned up so it matches all the new buildings and bleachers and color codes. So I'm working with the architect on that.
Is that something new?
It's on number 28.
Yeah, I know, but did we always have something to do work in the garage?
No.
No,
So these are new items being added on.
this is a change being added on, yes. We haven't approved anything yet because I'm working to try to find some cheaper solutions, but I don't think we want the white plywood dog paw, so we're trying to get maybe the windows glass blocked in or some doors put on. The other thing is we ended up getting a 13,500 credit at number 19R for saving the stone and using it around the building and using it for the track, so that took the $214,000 cap that was approved, number 9, basically down to 200,000. Trying to see if there are any other big ones on there.
Well, it seems like just.
Running a tight project.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if
you
you-
save $800 changing a faucet on a mop sink, that was.
You know, if you're working
seemed
with
like people
a
are paying
$80,000 figure after taking out the whole remediation value,
Yeah.
I mean, out of the 80,000, I mean, the three substantial ones, I mean, we upgraded the turf, we went with the sliding gates, you know, the water hydrant into the field, I mean, those are substantial upgrades to the project.
Now, with that water hydrant in the field, will they be able to back it out in the winter so it doesn't freeze?
You could drain it, yes.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you want to show the 86,000 credit here to offset your change order number, your cap number 9?
It's not related directly to this project, so we probably
There's a
wouldn't show
reason you
that.
don't want to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have it on the overall budget sheet that Tim has for the board.
Is there any other questions on the cap line?
Yeah, I mean, from a cost management standpoint, it's been phenomenal,
Don't jinx yourself.
so, knock on wood.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Joel? Or excuse me, Joe. Joel, you want to step up real quick? You wanted to just tell the board what you're working on in regards to the stadium project?
Yeah, just
part of this, nothing directly related to construction costs or anything like that, but sort of related costs to the new facility. And that is items such as some furniture that to put into the new concession stand.
New ice machine.
Ice machine,
the
purchasing
training
some
room.
protection for the track to help extend the life of that. Essentially like a bridge to get the gator and those kinds of vehicles over the bridge and onto the field. And also a protector for the sideline to, reduce the wear on that from,
I mean, like a mat or something?
Yeah, it's essentially, kind of. It's a weighted mat that's about 50 yards long and about 5 yards deep, and particularly in front of the home bleachers directly there, which is also our sprint area for the track team and all that. Based on sort of the observation from the last track, that's where we saw the most wear by far. So this is just kind of a way to help to protect that, particularly during, home games and stuff when you got everybody congregating there. In previous districts, we've used these too, and it does help extend the life of the track.
And that mat will stay out?
Well, you need it would be primarily geared for games, is when you're gonna have,
The reason why I raise that is not only RB uses the field, right?
Exactly.
So is this
Exactly.
portable enough that a elementary school can pull that thing out and have their kids walk across it?
No, it would be something that our
So on a
crew would
Sunday
need to do.
morning, you want to come out here and load it up, put it out into the track?
No, it would essentially be primarily used when we're having
I
home
understand,
games.
but for example, St. Mary's uses field. Are we going to cut them off going down the road? Or are we going to be able to have them pull that out so
Right.
their kids can walk across the track?
Well, to that.
Or is there a different item that's more portable that can be used,
Right. Well, the issue is it needs to be weighted so it doesn't sort of bunch up and you fall over.
Is that something
it,
that can
yeah.
stay out on the track?
That's what I'm
I think
asking.
what he's saying is on a Friday night, if you roll it out for Bulldogs, can you first pick it up on
Yeah,
a Monday
if we
morning?
ran into that situation, the primary thing would be the bigger, heavier kids, the RB kids are gonna kind of have the most, wear and tear on the track.
Well, there's another way to answer the question, too.
Sure.
Our St. Mary's rents the field, right?
Sure.
And you do setup and takedown for all the
That would be,
rentals.
that would be part of
It
it.
would be part of the take up and set down for that if we thought it was necessary, right? Or
Correct.
appropriate. Okay.
Yeah, I guess
So
that would
maybe
be
we need
determined
to
also.
amend that to our facilities agreement.
It's part of take up and
Part of
set
this,
up.
that's part of the fee they pay for
So
the
if he needs an
janitorial.
hour maintenance to set up, then it's an
Then
hour
they have to pay
maintenance.
for it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be, and it would, again.
Or
it's-
whoever. It's whoever rents it.
Yeah.
Sure. Some other pieces of this are, an item is a portable discus cage is gonna be, and there'll be some other athletic, items too, because we won't have that space, on the discus will need to be thrown, onto the field, so we can't have a permanent thing there, so.
I thought we were gonna try to do it where baseball fields are.
Yeah.
Then we have a temporary set up there, but on a day like today, if the zoo has traffic on a Saturday, and remember,
Right.
track meets are in the spring.
Right.
So if it's a Saturday afternoon and there's a track meet and they're parking cars, we can't be throwing discus.
Right.
So we have to have a temporary discus that you can throw on the AstroTurf.
So it would
And we-
apply
we
to a
inspe-
handful of
we
meets,
inspected it, we
a
investigated
small
it.
number of meets,
Right.
yeah.
So is somebody gonna make a list of all the things you think we need
That's
to
what
do?
he's got
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
that's what I was kind of speaking.
Well,
And so we've been keeping track of that with Tim in regards to the budget. Tim's got stuff budgeted for that. We know where that needs to come out of.
Right.
So we've been keeping track of it, but that's why I wanted Joel to speak on this tonight. So if you start seeing, a new ice machine, you understand that's for the training room in the stadium. If you see the stainless steel tables, that's for the concession stand, so that we can serve food in there. Some of those things.
the budget, Tim, everything that he's telling us about?
So the one question that you haven't answered yet, how's the roof coming along?
This roof, good. They're going to be putting, the only work left to do on their end is to install the metal coping.
Yep,
and,
miscellaneous sheet metal.
Yeah, and they'll be putting that up on the roof with a crane tomorrow morning before everybody gets here, and
And then everything else gets cleared out. The dumpster out there's
Dumpster,
gone.
the track trailer.
And then it's just gonna be a few guys up on the roof putting the metal in with the
Right.
pickup truck.
So
And
we'll
they're
get done
aware of
this week
school.
then, if weather permitting?
Yep.
yeah, if
Yeah,
they,
they've been good to work with. Olson Roofing.
Any issues found when they were turning off the roof?
Minor.
We actually had them do a lot. It's a couple add-ons for Olson Roofing, because we had them do a removal. We had the vacant satellite dish, the old school
Yeah.
giant satellite dish. We had them remove that. We had them remove, I think, an air handling unit that was no longer functioning.
yeah.
So we had them get rid of some of that stuff off our roof so that we could cover that stuff.
There are a couple of abandoned structures from the last renovation that they removed.
Okay. Any other questions for Joel or,
I have one, Joe. How are
Yeah.
we looking for starting from, we have everything in place for when the kids come and the staff comes?
Yeah, I think we'll be in good shape.
Mike, do you have any questions for Joel or Joe?
I do not at this point.
Okay.